Going to also live on Facebook. I'm gonna go in my group. Um, and I'm gonna share that to my group. Hello, Josie. I don't know if we're already live or not.
It's
It's now
showing.
streaming. We are streaming. We are live. We're live on Facebook and we're live in Zoom. We're meeting today with this amazing woman, Josie LoPorto Freeborn, who is a mompreneur, and she's also a sales and marketing strategist. Josie, tell me more about yourself. What do you do?
Well, I do a lot of things, and I have always said I wear a lot of hats. First and foremost, I am a mom and a wife, and that is what drives me to do everything else that I do. So, from the core of my being, my mompreneurship birthed because it was very important for me to be present for my family. But I have a passion for sales and marketing and business. And I really wanted to connect with a lot of women out there who may be teetering on the idea that they want to do something similar and be a mom and jump into maybe their own business. So, mom entrepreneurs actually came to be the women who I love to speak with because they get me and I get them.
Totally makes sense. What do you think is the one thing that mompreneurs struggle with the most?
There are a lot of things that mompreneurs struggle with most, but in my experience, the ones that I have worked with personally say a lot of similar things that I have said in my past before I got to where I am now is how do I do it? How do I, and they use the word balance, how do I balance being a mom and being an entrepreneur? And my answer to them is there is no balance, honey. There is no balance. We really have the ebbs and flows of the business. One of the biggest things that I personally work with the mom entrepreneurs with when they first come to me is they've been struggling with how to actually sell their service or sell their product or sell their coaching because they've had a negative experience themselves or a negative mindset about what sales really is. So, beyond the struggle of being a mom entrepreneur, trying to find that balance between spending time with your kids and your family and your business, they're truly dealing with some self sabotaging mindsets in that sales aspect. And as soon as we can overcome those and make it a little bit easier for them, everything else falls into place, believe it or not, with their family life and their business life.
I'm a mompreneur myself. I have 3 kids. They're not all that grown yet, so there's a lot of time that it goes into actually taking care of them and building a business at the same time. How do you do it? How do you manage that? How do you balance it? I know there is no balance, but there is some kind of strategies, I would imagine.
Yes, there are. And you know what? Everybody's going to have a little bit of a different way of managing that. And that's one of the things that I really love working with the mompreneurs who I work with is discovering what they need individually. Because although we're all mom entrepreneurs, we live different lives. We have different priorities and our needs from our children, depending on what age group they are in. We can be a mompreneur and still have grown children who aren't even living with us anymore. I have worked with one particular client of mine, doesn't have any children that she has to worry about at this point. But everybody's struggles are unique. So, one of the things that I really do find to help with that balance, if you will, for lack of better words, is really to lean into the support that you can get from the community, but also from those who have done it before and learning strategies and finding little tips. I just learned some amazing tips on how to do some Google Documents and some Google Forms that I was struggling with and in my own mompreneurship because I struggled with the organization aspect of it. And to have somebody in my corner who knows how to do that, in 5 minutes, I was able to kick out a Google document like that where I sat on it for weeks because I struggled. So having support is huge.
Yeah, I can totally see the power of support because going at it alone, I think so many women they think, or especially moms, they think that they have to do everything themselves. Do you run into that kind of the guilt part of it? Like, I can see that.
To the face. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, Yola, guilt. That's why I named my program Empowered Selling for the Mompreneur, but Guilt Free, because guilt is real. Moms understand mom guilt. We have guilt because we're not doing enough for our kids. We have guilt because we're not doing enough for our business. We have guilt because we have a husband who needs us. We have a guilt who we feel that we have to be everybody for everybody all the time. And when we're not, the guilt sets in. We also have guilt around, very specifically what I work with, starting point with my moms in their business is guilt around that sales conversation, guilt around making people think that I'm being pushy. I feel bad and guilty because if I ask you to support me in my mompreneur business, then I'm wrong. I feel like I'm dirty. I feel ashamed. And guilt is really a debilitating emotion. And so part of the work when I'm working with my mom entrepreneurs is to find the root of the guilt and then go from there. Because guilt can really make or break. Actually, it can break what we strive to do.
Yeah. Yeah, I wonder sometimes why the guilt is so predominant in female culture today, being Women's International Women's Day. Do you have any ideas why do we deal with so much guilt? Like I know myself, I had to work with guilt a lot on my own part, and it never ends, kind of almost, like you're never guilt free, even though you learn how to be less guilt. But where do you think that's coming from?
That is a very good question. And I think that's probably the $1 billion question. If we had the answer, we could find or if we had the answer to where it comes from, we could have a better
Mm.
solution. I really think it's the pressures that we put on ourselves because of being the women that we are and because of our past and the ancestry and living in a world that really is predominantly male oriented currently. Sure, we have feminine empowerment, we have feminine advancements, we have feminine sales systems, but we still do live in a primarily dominant patriarchal society. And I think that guilt stems from our ancestors and the roots of where women were once expected to be. And we still hold on to a lot of where we think we need to be based on societal expectations. But that's slowly been changing. And it's really interesting to see the evolution of us as women working through those expectations. And the reality is we put a lot of those expectations on ourselves. Yes, they do come from the societal norms, the norms of society of what could be expected, but we hold those in and internalize them. And once we can let go of those expectations on ourselves, that guilt can actually be released and recycled from the universe back to us in empowerment. So my goal is to help change that guilt to empowerment.
Wow, I love that. From guilt to empowerment. Isn't that absolutely beautiful? And I think just the thought just sends chills down my spine, just the thoughts and the ideas of what we can teach our children to actually have a different, our girl children, right? How they can look at sales, how they can look at marketing, how they can look at creating business, not from a guilt standpoint, but actually from empowerment. So you're doing amazing work with actually just introducing that now, because I think it just makes sense, right? That over those generations, we were taught to stay at home, and then we kind of came out of home, and then went crazy, and now it's still kind of that stemming that guilt, underlying guilt. And I just love that you brought it up, that it's self-imposed many times too, right? That nobody necessarily tells us you have to feel guilty about it.
I
Yeah,
think
I love
one of
that.
the biggest things, Yola, that I have learned even in my own self is that we have a lot of expectations on ourselves. And one person actually in sales, in my career in sales many years ago, gave me some advice. And he said to me, Josie, you can't expect, you have to accept. And I said, what do you mean I have to accept the circumstances? And, I was that powerful, feisty 20-something-year-old girl in sales. And then it wasn't until many years later where I realized that I don't have to put expectations on myself, nor should I put expectations on anybody else, but merely accept what I can give and accept what others can contribute, but don't be afraid to ask for the support. That is key, to not expect, but to accept. And somebody once told me it's okay to say, I can't. It's okay to ask for what you need. It's okay to say, I would really love for this to happen.
Mhm.
because we feel that we have to do it all ourselves. And if
Yeah.
you're a mom who doesn't feel like you have to do it all yourself, kudos to you and good for you. But I believe the majority of us do feel like we're parenting our whole family.
Yeah.
And we also tend to parent our friends around us too, because it's innate in us.
Mhm.
And we have to let go of that expectation and learn to accept, not to accept something that doesn't belong with us, but then to learn to say no or I can't.
Mhm. I love that. Yeah. Yeah. And I think when we take on so much burden, then it's hard to do business, right? From all those responsibilities and just accepting and being vulnerable and asking for help, it can be such a huge catalyst. Because I think when you look at this, very powerful CEOs, women CEOs, they become so masculine and they're so driven to just do, do, do. And I think they burn out because it's just not, we're not the same, we're not wired the same as men. So it can cause truly burnout and cause exhaustion. And, what are we teaching our youngsters, our young girls? Is it to exhaust yourself or is it to do business from a feminine standpoint with, you know, guilt-free sales, right?
Oftentimes our guilt in sales also comes from that masculine energy. As a woman, it doesn't feel authentic to ourselves. When something doesn't feel authentic, we naturally shame, guilt, have those emotions that are very negative and debilitating. And so we back away from it. Think of
Yeah.
this: whether you're in business or not, you are always selling. You are selling yourself to your children. You are selling the ideas. You are
Yeah.
not necessarily, so even if you don't have a business and you don't know what you want to do in business, you are still selling. Let's get an idea of, to my children, I give them the choice. Do you want broccoli or do you want cauliflower? I don't say, what do you want? But I'm still selling them the opportunity to eat some vegetables. I have to sell that idea. So we are
Yes.
constantly in a state of selling ourselves, our knowledge, our service. But the key here is servicing the other person. And so when we can
Right.
come from a point of coming at that sales prospect, whether it be with our children, our husband, our customers, our clients, from a form of I am servicing you, I am serving your needs, I am helping you overcome your challenges and solve your very expensive problems, then sales can feel good and even maybe a little bit sexy.
I just love the analogy. Wow. I have never even thought of it this way. But when you look at children, right, if you ask them, would you like broccoli or cauliflower? You're asking them, you're giving them choice based on what's good for them. So then going to your clients, when you want to sell something to someone, we women, many times we're so um, congruent with ourselves, right? So if we can be congruent with what we sell or what we provide or service, then you can ask them, would you prefer this package or this package? Knowing in your heart, because I think that's critical, that you are serving them, that you would never, ever, ever sell them something that isn't going to serve them. And when you come from that place of integrity, then the guilt that has no place. But I truly love how you can transition that and how I can look at that differently now. It truly does help. I feel like myself, I had like a little shift in my mind right now. So thank you. Appreciate that.
One of
Tell
the biggest things, Yola, that I
Mhm.
wanted to touch upon before we move to the next question is that when we as women come at our sales process, our sales conversations, whether it be in our life or our business, in our personal life or business, when we come at it from a mom perspective, from a mom entrepreneur perspective, we're bringing in a whole new superpower. We forget that we have so many skills and so many unique qualities just by being a mom, that transition into our entrepreneurship
Wow.
that we have unique to that male dominating world that we once came
Mhm.
from. Think about the 90s with women in business wearing the shoulder pads, the big shoulder pads, the suits, the pantsuits, to become very present and dominant, more so in a primarily male dominant world. Now we're stepping back into embracing that
Yes.
feminism in ourselves, but as a mom specifically, embrace that aspect as a superpower rather than a hindrance. Because for years we've been told if you're a mother, you can't work in a great business, you cannot be successful.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. It's the time. It's the time that it takes, right? And I love because when you approach it from feminine standpoint, you're not burning yourself out. You're using your gifts. When you can use your gifts, when you don't step in all the time in the masculine, putting the shoulder pads on, then you're kind of like you're more relaxed. You don't have to behave like a man. You can behave like a woman and do much, much better and be much more powerful. Yeah. So tell me, Josie, tell me a little bit about the 3 keys to empowered selling, guilt-free for the mompreneur.
Yes, that's a wonderful opportunity that I have where I'd like to invite everybody to come and join that. It's a free training that's about an hour long that I'm offering to everybody that's going to be coming up on March 14th. And it is a training that will empower women to step into their authentic sales superpower. And so, what I'm going to do is go through 3 simple secrets, 3 keys to be able to help women feel confident, to identify what's holding them back, to crush maybe some of those limiting beliefs, and to step into their own authentic way of selling so that it feels good to them. Because when we try to imitate somebody else, sometimes it doesn't feel right.
Yeah. Yeah. The
So
authenticity is huge.
that's
Yeah.
that's the
I will be
biggest
taking that masterclass for sure because I can't wait to actually listen and learn from you because I know you've had experience in sales. You've been really successful in sales for how many years have you been in sales?
I'm going to age myself now, but over 30 years, over
Yeah.
30 years. I started
Yeah.
very young, actually. We can even go on to say 35 years, but as a
Mm.
sales professional, over 30 years in various aspects, retail sales, outside sales, network marketing sales, you name it, I sold it. I sold radio airtime, I sold intangibles. And I have always managed to be successful in whatever I jumped into. And so if I can give one woman, one mom entrepreneur, a woman in business, in sales, a little bit of an edge up based on my 30 years of experience, I really feel happy about that and grateful to be able to have that opportunity.
Oh, yeah, I love that. I think that women who come and join your masterclass, they're going to walk away with a lot of golden nuggets because, like you said, it's hard to compile 30 years of experience into 1 hour. But at the same time, any shift that we can make in our own mental state and get a skill or two of how to actually shift and move forward is going to be priceless. So I know that you are offering a very generous gift today to our viewers, and it's that free training for the 3 secrets to empowered selling guilt free. Can you tell me a little bit more about the training, where people can sign up? How do they find you,
Yes,
and
the
when is
best.
it happening?
So it's going to be happening on March 14th, and I'm going to be doing that at 12 Eastern Standard Time. Believe it's, or it might be daylight at that time, Eastern Time, nevertheless, at 12 noon on March 14th. And that is going to be by registration. Although it's free, I still require registration. Spaces are limited. I prefer to work with a smaller, more intimate group so that I can take questions and maybe have a couple hot seats available for people who want some laser coaching. So within that 60-minute time frame, we're going to embark on a whole new journey. And on March 14th, we will be able to offer some extensive learning opportunities. You can link, we'll have the link available from Eventbrite. So it is an Eventbrite link, and we're going to post that in the thread here so that everybody will be able to click on that. It's simple, one click, head on over, get the link and register. And then you'll get a series of emails to give you the details of how to attend.
Wonderful, wonderful. So we'll go ahead and post the link in the comments after we're done with the live presentation, with the live interview. And is there anything else you would like to share with the audience? Anything else, any golden nuggets, anything to take away?
There's always some golden nuggets, and this masterclass is really just the beginning of an empowered journey. My little message to all the women that are watching right now is you have the skills in you already. You just need somebody to help you discover what your unique position is, what your unique ability is, and maybe even say what your unique superpower is. We need a little bit of guidance to pull that out. And as soon as we can do that, you're on the road to one step further in your sales success, in your business success, and most of all, in your mom entrepreneur success. And by doing that, working together, we can help find that quote unquote balance that we're all struggling to find.
Wonderful. Well, thank you so much for sharing your wisdom today, Josie. I've got some really nice, beautiful breakthroughs. Can't wait for more. And always excited to learn from you. And I'll see you then on the 14th.
Hey, thank you.
Bye.